Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. For today I'm going to be doing a first impressions on the new Simplicity palette from Micka Beauty Shop. So if you want to see this beauty up close and personal, then please stick around for today's video and make sure you are subscribed before leaving today, and let's get into it. Let me go ahead and show you this palette up close, swatches, all of the things, while reading some information on this beautiful palette. So this palette was sent to me in PR. I'm not obligated to post. It shows that this palette is available, that it launched on April 20th, and I went to the brand's website and it still shows that it's in stock. Now, I believe that it says the production time is 3 to 4 weeks, so I'm pretty sure this will be a pre-order situation. And the palette, I believe whenever it's translated to USD, I believe it's roughly about $60. This palette has 9 matte shades, 6 shimmers, some that are flaky, multi-sparkle, multi-chromes. It says that it's perfect for everyday looks, colorful, creative looks, date night looks. Honestly, the options are endless, so it seems like a lot of people are going to get lots of use out of this palette. It says that the color scheme is exactly the name of the palette, simple but with a twist, and I do love me some spicy neutrals. So now that you've seen the palette, let me go ahead and zoom you in and let's put this on my face. Something I do like about this palette, like they said, I do like that it resembles like the name Simplicity. I do like how it just really honestly reflects it on the inside with these, it's like a soft spring palette with the browns, some of the very fun poppy shades, and I don't know, I love this yellow, you know, I'm gonna go in with that. I don't know, I think this color story is honestly really pretty and different for the brand, because for the most part they do lots of single shadows, so I feel like if you have lots of their singles, then you're gonna be really excited to get a palette with some matte shades. I'm gonna go in with the Revival shade right here, and I just kind of want to see how that looks on my skin tone. Is it going to be just like a basic brown? Is it going to be yellow, grungy? Okay, this is a beautiful shade. It's not too grungy. I know not everybody loves like a swampy, grungy mustard yellow. This is more of just like a soft yellow brown, very wearable in my opinion. If you want to step out of your comfort zone and not do brown, but you don't want to just do like boom, very bold poppin' yellow, I think this is kind of like a nice middle ground, and it honestly blends itself. With indie mattes, for the most part, I don't blend because it will blend away. I just kind of like pat the shades and then blend on the kind of like on the outside. That is normally my go-to method when it comes to indie mattes. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here. The shades, as far as like the mattes go, they are pretty soft, so you do get a little bit of powder kick up. That does not bother me, but I just wanted to note that in case you are curious. Let's see, I want to play with some of the browns. You know me, I'm boring, and I'm just going to kind of mix the browns. These are more, I like how you get different tones. Some are neutrals, some are cools. There's a nice mix. This one looks to be like a warm tone, especially with that yellow. So I'm just going to kind of mix them together and layer them on top of the yellow, and then we'll pop into the shimmers. The shimmers, honestly, you do have some fun pops of color, and you also do have some shimmers that are more of like softer wearable shades, but they pack a punch. I would say like the silver, this one, the silver, this shade right here, it's almost like a red. No, this one's the red one, and this is like a pink. They are very intense, but you can tone them down. I'll have to swatch them live for you just so you can see. I was like, okay, they did not play when it comes to pigment. So if you would have started off with just one of these simple brown mattes and then thrown in one of the more wearable shimmers, you'd get like an everyday look for the most part. Let's see, I want to go into let's do Sugar, this more warm tone, and then I'll kind of deepen it up with the darker brown. This shade is Sugar. It's kind of like a sequin shade. It does have some sparkles in there, so it's not a true matte, so you do have some sheen and some sparkle. I just normally tap those off because they normally don't really translate on the eyes all that easily. I do like that shade as Sugar because it doesn't pull too orangey brown on me, even though it's warm tone. I do like it's very flattering. If you know, you know. If you have fair skin, sometimes with these warm browns, they will almost be orange on us. Okay, now I'm going in with the darker brown in the palette to just kind of neutralize it just a little bit. I'm just kind of playing with the different undertones in the palette, making sure they all kind of just go on top of each other cohesively. Alright, I want to go into Dry Petals up here. This is another one. It's a matte, but it does have some sparkles in there, and I'm going to just add that on the lid, and I want to see if any of the sparkles stick to my lid. No, not really. This matte honestly was a little bit lackluster whenever I was swatching it, so that's why I wanted to use it. It's honestly, out of all the mattes in the palette, probably the one that I could live without. I'm just not the biggest fan of this matte. I like the shade, but just like the execution of it, not my favorite. I don't think it's bad, it's just, I don't know. It's not exactly, I don't truly love it when mattes have sparkles in there, but I know a lot of people do. Let's see, so I think I'm done with the mattes. I want to go ahead and pop into a shimmer. This shade Barefoot is such an intense black. I want to live swatch these in a little while. The only shimmer that swatched a little odd was the shade Tender, so I guess we can use that. If you're familiar with like Terra Moons, as far as like texture goes, Micka Beauty Shop, they're very like textured and squishy and flaky, kind of like that. So I just wanted to, maybe that would help you if you're curious about the texture. Okay, let's go into it. We're just gonna dive in. This is a very chunky shade. I just want to make sure it applies good on my lid because in swatching it just wasn't all that. Okay, it definitely looks 10 times better on my eye versus in swatching. I added some NYX glitter glue down to kind of help it adhere to the lid. I want to zoom you in. I'm getting a little bit of fallout. I don't know. It's just not layering. It's kind of like a thin base. Not my favorite shimmer. Blending out that NYX glitter primer, and I'm going back in. Very textured. And I'm going on. If you love some textured flaky shades, I think you're going to really like, let's see, 1, 2, 3 of these shimmers are that type of formulation. Alright, now I'm going to go in with Live in Love, which is the beautiful blue fiery shade. I love multi-chromes like this. And I want to layer this on top because I'm just not living for that green shimmer. And I would like to love this look, so I just want to layer it on. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So for the inner corner, I want to go in with the pastel lime green shade. It is so pretty. Whenever I swatch it, I did have to build it up. So I'm hoping that, oh, dog hair, that it will look good on the inner corner. For me, there's not really like an inner corner shade other than this pastel. There is a silver, but it's intense, so I typically won't go for that, but I'm sure you could just pop on a little bit. So this one, you definitely have to layer it on. Maybe it would work better with like a white base. Maybe it's my skin tone, but I don't know if you have a deeper skin tone, if you're going to love this pastel that I'm working with. Okay, so I was going to call it quits and do some liner, but I feel like I need to go in with another shimmer to get a feel. Barefoot, which is the black. This is a very textured shade. I just need to test more since I'm only doing one look. And let's just like blend this on the lower lash line to deepen it up a little. Oh, that's a good dark. Oh no, I got it on my face. I typically, oh lord, I'll fix that in a little bit. I typically do not reach for darker shimmers like this, but this one's pretty. I'm so glad that I dipped into Barefoot, which I'm literally always barefoot, because I wanted to make sure that this one was not like the shade Tender. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing all the shades on my eyes, but whenever I have a few that give me a little bit of issue, I like to really test it out even more. So now I'm going to go with Reincarnation, the silver, and I want to see if I can just barely go into it and pop it on the inner corner. Yes, so that's one thing I was curious about this formula. You can just barely go into it and have an inner corner shade, so that's exciting. Okay guys, so this is a finished look. I used so many different shades. Let me show you my mirror so you can see the shift. Wow. How fun is that shade? Let me go ahead and turn down the brightness so you can see the sparkle. Wow. So intense and shifty. That multi-chrome that's all over my lid is so pretty. Look at that. Hopefully you can see it. I'm like trying to close my eyes. Can you see it? Oh my goodness. Alright. Let me go ahead and swatch some for you. Let's see. Let's do the 3 that have a similar formula. So there are 6 shimmers and there's 3 that are one type and then 3 that are the other. So let me do the silver, the red, and then this more purpley one. And let's go ahead and swatch these. These are more of like a, they're not squishy, but they're not like a normal shimmer. They're just a thin pigmented, if that makes sense. Here's the red. Honestly, this one's a little bit lackluster. You do need to build this one up. It has red, silver, and some gold in there. And then this shade right here is a touch more textured, but I would say overall these 3 have a very similar formulation. These 3 will be more flattering on your lids versus the other shimmers that I used. Alright, here's the mirror so you can see they're definitely shifty. So pretty. Let me wash my hands. Okay, so now let's swatch the other 3 shimmers that are more textured, that squishy, flaky formula. Okay, so these 2 are really similar, the black and the green, and this one has a little bit more punch to it as far as like that shift factor goes. This is my favorite shimmer in the palette. This is the one that I have all over my lids. It is just next level. It is beautiful. I'm such a sucker for this type of shade. It's honestly a really pretty and very popular shade. So this is the one that is very lackluster when swatched. Okay, it did better on my palm than it did my arm and my eye. Just kind of needs to be melted down. Dang, it looks really good on my palm, but not the best on my eye. I wish it would apply like that to my lid. Well, my camera died. Alright, now let's go into the black one. This is in Tint. I don't even know if I have a black shimmer in my collection. Wow. So pretty. And then here you can see it in the mirror and the shifts. Magical. Alright, so I'm going to zoom you out. Well, first I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to zoom you out and let's talk about my first impressions with the new Simplicity palette. Okay, so let's go over my thoughts on Simplicity. I love the packaging. It's simple, but yet it makes a statement. And I do love on the inside, you do get a mirror as well. As far as the color story, I love the color story. I love that it's neutrals with some fun pops in there, so you get like the best of both worlds. So let's talk about the matte formula now. So this isn't like a beginner friendly matte formula in my opinion. For the most part, I had an amazing time. I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I used 7 matte shades and they all layered on beautifully. The only matte for me that was a little bit like meh, it was Dry Petals, but it was still pretty. It's just you have to layer it on. Kind of like the same thing with the pastel green in the palette. You do have to layer on quite a few times, so it's a very buildable formula for the most part. Very soft, but they blend very easily. So let's go ahead and move on to the shimmers now. The only shimmer in the palette that was just a little bit lackluster for me was the shade Tender. It just enhances texture on my lids. I know some people love all of that flakiness. I do to a certain extent whenever it kind of smooths out, almost like Ensley Reign formula, it will smooth out, but this shade in particular, I just have to like really smooth it out, and then it kind of like makes my lids look textured. But honestly, I had fun working with the silver, and then obviously Live and Love is my favorite shade in the palette. I did not think I was going to like the shade Barefoot. It's black intense, it has silver sparkles. It's just something I wouldn't gravitate towards, but honestly, I really enjoy that shade, and I think the texture is fun. So you do get a nice mix of textures. You get some that are very smooth and just very impactful. You get some flaky, some multi-chrome, so you get a lot of different variations of like formulas, so you can create a lot of different color stories. In my opinion, it's like spicy neutrals in a way, where you can do like a neutral lid and like fun shimmers, if you will. So overall, I do enjoy this palette. I'm very grateful that they sent this over to me. I think that some of the shades you're going to have to work for, but honestly, you get a beautiful look at the very end result. But let me know down below, are you going to be picking this palette up? Have you ever tried the brand? But that's going to do it wherever you are in the world. I hope you're doing well. I hope that you are healthy, happy, and safe. Stay beautiful. Bye, guys.